Qatar's Prime Minister says his country will continue its mediation efforts to end the war in Gaza despite Israel's attack on its capital. His announcement came as foreign ministers of Arab and Islamic countries convened in Doha ahead of an emergency summit of regional leaders on Monday. Well, the meetings come just days after an Israeli attack targeted Hamas negotiators in a residential neighbourhood in Doha. Qatar says it will be looking for a collective response to deter Israel.
The state of Qatar will not tolerate any violation of its sovereignty or threat to its national security. Qatari sovereignty is a matter that cannot be overlooked or transgressed, and we will confront any threat to us by all means guaranteed by international law. From this standpoint, we emphasize that Israel's mob and barbaric practices will not deter us from continuing our sincere efforts with the Arab Republic of Egypt and the United States to stop this unjust war.
Well, let's give you some context now on Qatar-US relations. The two nations signed a defence cooperation deal in 1992. Since then, Doha has become one of Washington's closest allies in the Gulf. Qatar is home to Al Udeid Air Base, the largest US military facility in the Middle East. More than 10,000 American troops are stationed there. In 2022, the US designated Qatar a major non-NATO ally, granting it access to advanced defence systems and intelligence sharing. As a diplomatic ally, Qatar has mediated ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, working alongside the US and Egypt to end the war in Gaza. In May, US President Donald Trump visited Doha. The two countries signed defence and aviation agreements worth $243 billion. Adnan Hayajneh is a professor of international relations and US foreign policy at Qatar University and joins us here in the studio. Good to have you with us. I want to pick up, first of all, on that line that has emerged from today's meetings, Sunday's meetings, the Qatari Prime Minister saying, despite what has happened, Qatar will retain its role, will maintain its role as a mediator towards a ceasefire. I suppose we can't escape the simple fact that whilst that may be the case, there currently is unlikely to be a ceasefire deal to talk about on the table. And the one crucial resource to any successful mediation that is missing now is trust.
Well, I think the Qataris are not giving up, and I think they consider mediation and peace mediation as a pillar of their foreign policy, and it's part of their constitution, and it's part of their responsibility towards humanity. And moreover, they are good at it, and I think they have achieved in maybe more than a dozen in the past decade of resolving so many conflicts involving the United States, the Afghans, the Russians, Ukrainians, and all of that. And they seem that they want to continue that. And I think Netanyahu does not want them to do that job. And I think they believe in stopping the what's really happening in Gaza. And I think a lot of people agree with them. And they have played a good role in saving the Israeli hostages, releasing some of them, about maybe more than 130, because of their efforts. So their efforts is appreciated, much appreciated by most of the countries all around the world, with the exceptions of Netanyahu, who is not really interested in peace. And the Arab Summit is an occasion, I think, with the Islamics, that the Arabs and Muslims are really interested in peace with Israel. And they have delivered so much and presented a peace plan, full normalization with them, an acceptance of Israel, having relationship, signing Camp David, the Jordanians, the Palestinians, all of them, Abraham Accords.
Sure.
And in return of, instead of thanking the Qatar and the Arabs, we see Israel destabilizing the whole region, attacking not only Qatar, it's attacking like more 7 countries so far and taking their lands, kind of annexing the West Bank. So it's really time for the Arabs to take a stand, and they're looking forward for the leaders tomorrow maybe to take concrete, not rhetoric.
I'll ask you about that stand in a moment, but I just want to press you very briefly.
Yeah.
All of what you've just said adds up to the core of my question, which was, sure, you can go ahead and say that you're going to continue to mediate, but if there is no ceasefire deal any longer on the table or currently on the table, and if there is no trust that exists, and crucially, that trust surely now is gone, among the parties who are negotiating and between the parties and the mediator. How does that mediation process actually function?
I think there's indicators that Mark Rubio was sent to the region, and he's in Israel today.
He's there now.
And one of the missions of his mission is to discuss with the Israelis the hostages, because this is what Trump wants. He wants all the hostages to be released, and they're thinking about what's next after the ceasefire. So there's a lot of potential, and I think we should not give the opportunity. The opportunity should not be given to Netanyahu to not continue on the peace process and on the ceasefire. And the ceasefire, the proposal was accepted by Hamas, and the one who did not accept it is Israel.
Okay, let's turn then to the stand that you say these Arab countries and the Gulf nations in particular need now and wish now to take. What do we see as the core of that response? What options are at their disposal essentially, to ensure that this sort of thing that can't happen
If you
again?
look implicitly at what Mohammed bin Abdurrahman, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister of Qatar, is saying, he believes in peace, he believes in international law. As a peace mediator, they are not considering even war. They are considering going to international law, international organization, exert more pressure on Israel. Israel is becoming more alienated and becoming a rogue state. A lot of people are condemning, a lot of states are condemning what Israel is doing. And there's a lot of momentum among international actors. And I think almost before the end of this month, there will be a recognition of the Palestinian state coming from countries like United Kingdom, like France. And there's a momentum among the public, even in the United States, among Democrats and liberals. They're not accepting what's happening in Gaza. And there's a lot of hope that maybe this will be translated in the midterm election in November, and maybe there'll be a flip or more pressure on what's being done in the United States.
These are all sort of collateral moves to what is expected to happen on Monday. The leaders of these regional nations, of the Gulf states, sitting down, talking about their collective response. One thing briefly, they're not famous, are they, this particular grouping of countries and leaders, for coming up with anything collective?
They're not, because I think the whole idea of the Arab national security is gone. It's a myth, I think, from an academic perspective. Every nation behaves in its own self-interest. They have good relationship, and they have continuing relationship with Israel. No matter what happened, they criticize Israel, but the issue is what's really puzzling me, the continuation of relationship, economic and so on, with Israel.
Yeah. Okay.
This is amazing.
Well, it is. Adnan Hayajneh, thank you so much for your thoughts. A professor specialising in US foreign policy at the University of Qatar. Many thanks.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.